Hello, friends. How are you all doing today? I hope you're keeping well and keeping everybody safe and healthy around you as well. Wonderful. Let's begin our session today, which is Sahi Faisla, which is all about making great decisions, making thoughtful decisions. Well, I wouldn't be wrong, and you would agree with me if I were to say that each moment of our life is all about making decisions, big or small, tough or easy. But it is all in that moment of decision making that the future unfolds. And therefore, it is important for us to understand how to take good decisions, how to take productive and fruitful decisions. So let's first understand, where does these opportunities or instances of taking decisions come? Well, they come naturally in the possibilities of problem solving. So when there is a problem, we do an analysis of that and then we come to a solution. Now what happens is, it would have been easy if we had a problem, we did the analysis and we arrived at a solution. That's an easy path. But more than often what happens is that if there is a problem, we do brainstorming and analysis and we come up with different solutions. Now, then comes the role of a decision maker who decides which is the best solution. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about some major principles behind this decision making. When you have alternatives in front of you and picking one to make a thoughtful and a wise decision. And we are also going to learn some techniques to do that. So if you're ready, give me a thumbs up. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. So let's move forward and understand what is meant by a decision. Decision is nothing but a course of action purposely chosen from a set of alternatives to achieve personal, organizational, or managerial objectives or goals. So it has to be productive, it has to be fruitful, it must lead to some result, and therefore a thoughtful approach to a decision making is of utmost importance. I am sure you would agree with me on that, isn't it? Great. So let me take you quickly to decision making principles. Now, when I make you go through these basic principles of decision making, they might look like very complex, but once we understand it with some examples, it is going to be absolutely easy and you would feel like, yes, this is what I observe on an everyday basis. But why we are still discussing and uncovering these principles here is because they come in very handy and they are very, very instrumental when it comes to decision making. So let's move forward and understand some of these decision making principles. The first one here is Occam's razor, and which states that when confronted with two competing theories, what does this mean is, when you have alternative solutions, so you have a problem, you did analysis, and you came up with two solutions which are very similar to each other or have the same kind of result to it. Which one do I choose? So Occam's razor says, when confronted with two competing theories that make exactly the same predictions, the simpler one is better. Don't go for the complex ones. That's an easy choice then, because when you have two alternatives, they are taking same kind of, they're giving you same kind of results, then go for the simpler one, because then the effort required to get to the same result is less. So that's a smart move. So then the decision making is wise and thoughtful and it's productive as well. We go on to the second aspect of the same opinion, where we understand it with this statement: when you have several acceptable explanations for a particular phenomena, the simplest solution that best describes the phenomena without any contradiction is the preferred option. When you have more than one acceptable explanation, so you are probably discussing about something, you're finding out which one is the best solution, which one is the best reason why this has happened. You're probably doing a root cause analysis or all of those things, and you think about which one is the best. So when you have multiple acceptable explanations for a particular phenomenon, and you're trying to find out which one is the best, because they for you to understand it, all of them look almost similar or give you the same kind of results. But the simplest solution that best describes the phenomena without any contradiction is the preferred option. Go for the simplest one. Go for the least complicated one, because that is where the good decision lies. And this is one secret that I've held on to my entire life. And every decision that I make where I have specific confusion, or I'm in a dilemma where, okay, both seem right, but probably the complex one is more efficient one, that is where the catch is. And I have learned it in a hard way, but I've learned it long back, and I've used it all through my life, through all my decisions. If there is a simple way of doing something, go on that path. Don't go to a complex one, because that is definitely just going to make you tired and exhausted. So that was about Occam's razor. Next principle is a very interesting one, which many of you might have heard, and this comes in handy here in decision making also, because of its entire impact. This is called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle. 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. Now, this principle was discovered by Vilfredo Pareto, where he found out that in Italy, the land ownership was in a proportion of 80-20. So 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the population, and that's where the entire thought process started. And he soon discovered that this principle is absolutely applicable or relevant in many, many cases. So what happens is, we'll take this through some examples here, which will make it much more easier for us to understand. How it comes in handy in decision making is to understand that 80% of my problem is going to be solved with the 20% of the major part of my solution. So my solution has to be very focused. Even a small part of it will give me big bang on result. So let's be very, very focused when it comes to decision making. So let's take some example. 80% of your sales comes from 20% of your clients. 80% of faults found in electric board comes from 20% of the components. 80% of the world's income is controlled by 20% of the world's population. 80% of the software faults originate from 20% of software bugs. 20% of your effort leads to 80% of your income. So what happens is that when making decisions, it is important to consider Pareto's principle and pay the appropriate amount of attention to each option and outcome. Why it is important is that the crucial decisions may lead to significant outcomes, which you need to consider while you're making a decision. So when the data under observation is sufficiently large to be statistically meaningful, it is complex, and you can't really just at looking at it, you can't make something out. Then go for this principle, which collectively gives you that strength. That okay, my 20% of data is going to impact my 80% of the results. So go with that perspective. And the last one here, the last principle that I'm going to talk about, is absolutely a hilarious one, because all of us somewhere or the other would relate to it. Is the Parkinson's law, which says work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So if I were to talk about the college days or the school days, the kids were, they would get probably one day off in between two exams, and they will complete the syllabus within that, do a complete revision of that. And if they get 10 days in between, they will take 10 days to revise that. And the same applies to us as well in many, many factors, in many, many aspects of life. The work, whatever we have, if we don't define and if we don't focus and if we don't take charge of that, it is going to fill up all the available time that we have. Now, why it is important to understand and focus on the Parkinson's law while we are making decisions? It is important to think about our resources, plans, and schedules. Therefore, it's important to focus on, do I need to fill up my time, or do I need to just arrive at a result, at a focused result? And when we work with focused result mindset, then the work doesn't expand. It gives me efficiency within that time, and I'll have rest of the time available with me. Now, an important thing here to be understood is, champions, that like I said, every moment we are making decisions. And if we don't make small decisions quickly, then the larger decisions will always go on a spillover to the next day, to the next month, to the next year. And the important decisions in our life should never be postponed, should never be procrastinated. So it's important that whatever small decisions we have to take, which have less impact, or they have short-term impact, they have to be quickly taken. And the technique that we are going to talk about now, there are two techniques that we're going to talk about. These techniques talk about how do you take quick decisions small decisions as well as big decisions, but how do you take them quickly? Because once you have clarity about alternatives, it is just about picking up one out of them. And these techniques make it very, very faster and simpler. So these principles that we spoke about and the techniques that we are now going to speak about, they collectively give us more strength and knowledge to take better decisions. So please remember all these principles. I hope you have made notes of them. And we are now going to talk about the decision-making techniques. If so far you have understood and you have really, really aligned yourself with the principles and why decision-making is an important aspect of our life, give me a thumbs up. Well done. Awesome. All right. We now move on to decision-making techniques. All right. Now, we are going to talk about two such techniques. And these two techniques more or less cover up majority part of the decisions, the kind of decisions that we have to make. So the first technique is called the trade-off analysis. Now, what trade-off analysis does, it compares apple with an apple. Okay, so there's a red apple and then there is a green apple. So what it does is that it gives it an opportunity to choose the best available option based on a number of criteria using a trade-off analysis. Now, when do we use it? So like I said, apple to apple, when you have similar options to choose from. What this means is when I have certain alternatives to a problem as a solution and I find certain things common in these things. So in these alternatives, there are certain attributes which are common. So I can compare those attributes and then I can see which collectively, if I were to calculate all the scores of option A and option B, which is better? And then, of course, I arrive at a good decision. Now, let me take a quick example here, and I will show you quickly by doing a little trade-off analysis with you together on this board. So we'll quickly take a simple example of, say, I want to purchase a cell phone. My cell phone has stopped working or is giving me a little trouble, and now I need to purchase a cell phone. And I'm not too sure, and after doing much analysis, I've arrived at two options. So one is Apple iPhone, and then there is a Samsung model that I really like. It's a new one, and I really like the features, but I'm still confused which one should I take. So this is a decision between one kind of thing, but two different variants of it. So how the trade-off analysis works is, the trade-off analysis, how does it work is, so I have got the items here, and I write the attributes here, all right? So I've got the Apple iPhone here, and I've got the Samsung options here. That's how I do it. And then you have attributes, which is about, say, the screen size is one of the attributes that I pick up. I need to work on the attributes which are important for me for my consideration. The next could be the cost thing. The third could be the internal memory. All right. The fourth could be the camera. The fifth could be battery life. And the sixth could be some other X feature. All right. So I'm comparing my my two options of Apple as well as Samsung here with on the basis of certain attributes here. And now what I think is I must give a scoring to each one of these factors as well. Okay. Now my scoring for screen, say I take a range of say 0 to 5. Okay. So I give a scoring of say 3 to my screen strength or size. Then cost is very important, so I give it a score of 5 out of 0 out of 5. Then internal memory, I give it okay. This is also important for me. Then I have the camera. Yeah, camera is important, probably 4. Then the battery life, of course, is important. I give a score of 5. Then there's another factor which I give it a score of 3. All right. So these are the values of these. That means this is the amount of relative impact that these attributes have on my decision. So what this means is internal memory, battery life, and cost. These are very important for me to consider while doing this purchase. My camera quality is a little less than these factors, and this X factor and the screen is even less than that. So I have now got a tagging of what these attributes, what impact do they have. Now, let's give a score. If I were to give a score of Apple for screen, I would give them a score of, say, 3. For cost, I would give them a score of 2 because they are very expensive. For internal memory, I'll give them a score of, say, 3. For camera, I'll give them a score of 4. For battery life, give them a score of 2. The battery is not good. And X factor, I give them a score of 3. Okay. Then we come to Samsung and we say, okay, screen is 4. Then we have cost, which is again probably okay, 3. Internal memory is 4. Camera is, say, I'll say 3. And then battery life is again 3. And then X factor, say it is 2. All right. Now this now my chart is complete. But now what we have to do is we have to multiply each of these scores with each of these values. So this is 3 into 3. This is 2 into 5. This is 3 into 5. This is 4 into 4. 2 into 5. 3 into 3. Similarly, this is 4 into 3. 3 into 5. Into 5. 3 into 4. 5 into 3 and 2 into 3. Now, I'm sure you are now arriving at it, yeah? Now it looks easier and now it looks comparable now that we have got all the factors included. So this is 9, this is 10, this is 15, this is 16, this is 10, this is 9, this is 12, this is 15, this is 20, this is 12, this is 15, and this is 6. Now what we have to simply do here is to calculate the addition of this, do addition of this, and see which has got more score. Hasn't it become easier now? Yes, absolutely. And why it is easier here? Because we're comparing apple to apple. Because we're comparing some options which have got some attributes common in them, which we can compare and we know the impact of it. And this is how we do a scoring, and we find out which has got greater score, and then that's how the trade-off analysis works. If you've understood this and if it makes sense while doing a comparison between related objects or related options, give me a thumbs up. Wonderful, great. So I'm glad that you liked this explanation, and I'm glad that you were able to follow through on this, and I am sure you are definitely going to use it when it comes to really application of this. Great. So let's move on to the next technique, which is paired comparison analysis. All right. So let me quickly take you through the paired comparison analysis here. So simply what it means here is, first of all, let's understand paired comparison analysis is different than trade-off analysis. Primarily in principle because paired comparison analysis is used for unrelated objects, where you can't compare an apple with a banana or an apple with a watermelon. You can't do that. They're two different things, two different aspects altogether. Or for example, you can't compare a fruit basket, a mixed fruit basket with a scooter. Completely unrelated. How do you make a decision and both of them stand relevant? So this technique comes in handy, which talks about paired comparison analysis, where pairing different options together to and then scoring them, and we arrive at a proper solution. So paired comparison analysis, we can take an example here. Say this is this gentleman who's got a long weekend coming for 4 days, and now he's thinking, well, I've got so much of time with me for 4 days, and I've got some funds with me as well. How do I spend it? So I've got some options. So there's a problem statement. What do I do with this time and money? And then there are some options. So he thinks probably I can do something related to fitness. I can probably join some weekend classes or go for a little Zumba thing or something like that. Okay. The second option is probably go for a vacation with my friends and all, or go socialize in a party or something. Okay, go for some fun with my friends, or should I invest something and my time and my money into learning something over this weekend, or probably I should go and spend some time and do some good work for probably the street dogs or my indie friends right there. What should I do? So different unrelated aspects here. So very simply, how do we do that? Let me take you through that. Okay? So from the example that we have taken, let's quickly take the first three. Okay, so we talk about fitness. That was the first option. So we write fitness as the first option here. Then we talk about the second was vacation. That's the third one. Sorry, the second one. And the third one is party. Okay, so which one should I do? All right. In paired comparison analysis, the options don't come here only, they come on top as well. So we have got fitness, we've got vacation, and then we've got party. All right, so I'm taking an example for 3, but you can do it with n number of options. So now what we do now here is we make pairs of these options one by one, and then we do a comparison analysis. So how do we do that? Can we compare fitness with fitness? No, that doesn't hold true because these are same. So there is no comparison. What if I do fitness with vacation? So if I were to do it for myself, I would give fitness much more value than vacation. So I would choose fitness, and over vacation, how much of score would I give to itself, or how confident do I feel about this option on a scale of 0 to 5? Probably I feel 4. Okay, that's my score. Then I'm comparing fitness with party. Now again, my option is going to be fitness between these two, and my scoring would be fitness and party would be again 4. So I've got these two scores here. Then I move on to the second column here. So can I compare vacation with fitness? Yes, of course I can. But I wouldn't do that because it is going to be a repetition of comparing fitness with vacation. Vacation, fitness, fitness, vacation. So this will give equal score like this. So this is a repetition, we cross it out. All the repetition comparisons, all the repetition paired, we just skip them off. Now we compare vacation with vacation. No, it's the same thing. We can't compare self with self. Now we come to the next one, which is vacation with party. So if I were to choose it, vacation with party, I would rather choose vacation. And my scoring would be, scoring would be 3, that I'm confident. And then I move on to the next one, and I want to compare party with fitness, right? But if I compare party with fitness, it is going to be same like fitness with party. So this is a repetition. Then I want to compare party with vacation, but this is going to be same like vacation with party. So this is again a repetition. And again, party with party is a self-comparison, so it doesn't hold true. Now we have got some figures here, and we do a scoring here. So for F, how much of scoring have we got? We've got 4 and 4, which is equal to 8. And then we've got vacation, which we have got 1 value, which is equal to 3. And P, we have got 0. Now, comparing the unrelated alternatives, this is the method that we use by splitting those all options into different pairs, comparing them individually, and then finding the scores of them. And then identifying which is the best option. For me, this clearly gives me a better option, a more solid and a more convincing option. And I'm sure you would have found it interesting and useful as well. If you have, give me a thumbs up. Wonderful, champions. Now, this brings us to the end of the session, and I am sure with these 2 small but powerful techniques and the principles that we discussed in the start of the session, you would find this exercise very, 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 very useful. And if you do, there's a small thing that you have to do. There's a friend of ours who is in HDFC Bank. Her name is Ms. Priyanka Thakur, and she is on a mission to find out who all are the action takers in her entire community. And she would like to know from you, how do you plan to use the learnings of this session? And whatever plan you have, whatever examples or instances you see or opportunities you see of applying these learnings, please do write an email to her on priyanka.thakur@hdfcbank.com and let her know your plan to use these learnings. She'll be delighted to receive your emails. So all the best, champions, and do write to her. All right. So you now, if you want to connect more with us for such amazing learning bites, please do connect with us for such learning joyrides on starconsultingglobal.com. You can look out for me as Yasha Vatsa Star Consulting, and I'll be right there on LinkedIn to be connected with you. It was a great pleasure connecting with you and conducting this session for all of you, champions. And with this, I want to wish you all the best. Take care of yourself, be happy, and make very, very wise decisions. Thank you. Namaste.